welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today I thought it would be fun to go over the top 5 foundations that I would recommend for fall. The weather's starting to cool down, so that kind of just will change the types of foundations that I reach for on a seasonal basis. So if that sounds good to you, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I do post twice a week on Sundays and Thursdays. And with that, let's get started talking about the 5 foundations I would recommend for fall time. Okay, so first things first, a few disclaimers. I do have normal leaning dry skin, so I do feel like I have a broader range of foundations that work for my skin type. I'm not too oily, not too dry, so a lot of foundations work for me. And then as far as fall time, I find that I tend to reach for foundations that have a little bit more coverage. So you're gonna be hearing just similar terms in all of these, more of that light medium rather than that sheer to light that I tend to lean for during the summertime. So that's kind of what I look for during fall as it starts to cool down. I'm looking for a well-rounded foundation because as far as where I live in the south of France, it's cool at night, it's cool in the morning, it'll kind of spike up, get a little bit hot in the afternoon, and then cool back down. So I really need a foundation that's gonna last through that entire just wave of temperature. And those are the foundations that I picked that I know work for just that type of weather. And then if you stick around to the end of the video, I will be inserting in just a few photos of swatches comparing the shades to each other. So that way you can see if you're around my skin tone and you're interested in one of these foundations, which one might work for you. So stick around to the end for that. And now let's get into talking about these foundations. These are in no particular order, so we're just gonna get started. The first one is an oldie but a goodie. This is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Cream SPF 50, and this is the original one. I have to say, like, I maybe have like 30% of this. I have to be getting down there, but this has a little bit more than 1 fluid ounce, and I have the shade Light. This is a foundation I can always count on. It holds up well in dry heat. It holds up well in humidity-based heat. It holds up well in the cold. This is more, I wouldn't say it's medium coverage, light to medium, but it has some good coverage for being a CC cream. And this is one that I can just always rely on. I always like to just tell small stories if something sparks that memory. But this foundation just holds good memories for me. There was a time there when I worked retail. I did work retail for almost 10 years at the same store. It was my first job and I stayed there. But for a while, I would travel around different stores in the country, in the US, and I would help either open a new store, I would help remodel a store if that was happening. And I remember I went to New Orleans. So originally I'm from Arizona. That's where I grew up. I'm used to that very hot weather and that dry heat. And I went to Louisiana and the humidity there, it was my first time just dealing with that humidity. And my skin did not like it at all. I brought 2 foundations. I don't even remember what the other foundation was that I brought, but I brought this one and I brought another foundation. And for the first time, the first couple of days, I was like, man, I felt bad because I'm supposed to be there setting an example and my makeup just looked so terrible. It was one of my worst makeup days ever because my base was just like breaking apart. I didn't know what to do. I was so confused about the weather. And I was like, okay, I'll throw this one on. And granted, like when you're opening a store or doing a remodel, the days are long. And that was an especially tough remodel. We ended up having to stay longer. The team that I was with, it was a nightmare. I'm not gonna go into it, but we were there, we were working like 18-hour days. Like we would get 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep and go back the next day because we were on such a time crunch. It was a disaster, but I put this one on And finally, like, my makeup looked good for the entire time, the entire like 18 hours that I was there. It was a long, those were some long days, but finally I was like, okay, it's not just my skin, because at first I thought my skin was doing something weird, but it was just my foundation. And that was the moment that I completely fell in love with this foundation, and I knew it was just a ride or die because it saved me on that trip, and I will always think of this one fondly for that memory. So that is why I would just recommend this one starting to go into the fall weather. The next foundation we're going to talk about is a little bit more of a luxury foundation. This is the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow Foundation. Now, I have not tried the new reformulated version. I've heard good things about that one as well. I don't think that they've changed the formula too much, but I have the original, and this is just top 3 holy grail foundations for me. Whether it's fall, winter, spring, summer, I would recommend this foundation. It's the perfect medium coverage. It is a great just all-around foundation. I can wear this to work and not feel like it's too heavy and I'm wearing too much makeup, but I could wear this to an event and just feel very glamorous and very sophisticated wearing this. This, no matter what, makes my skin look flawless. It looks great, you know, in the cooler weathers. It holds up in the heat. It holds up in humidity. It does get a little bit humid here, not as much as Louisiana, or I lived in the Philippines for a little while. It gets very humid there. Nothing compared to that, but it still holds up really well in humidity. And this is just a great foundation. It does have SPF. I need to try the reformulated version, but I would recommend this foundation no matter what. Any foundation, if you can only have one, I would pick this one. It's just my top. It's my top. Next one, we're gonna take it all the way back on a different scale. We went from very luxury to drugstore. This one has been around for a while. This is the Wet n Wild Photofocus foundation. I have the shade Soft Beige, and you know, this is a good foundation. I've had this foundation for years. It's been around, I wanna say at least 5 years. They started the Photofocus line, and it stands the test of time. I reach for this foundation very often. The only thing I don't necessarily love about it is the applicator. I would prefer the paddle over a dropper. If it was a dropper, that's my least favorite type of applicator ever. The doe foot is fine. I'll deal with it, but that's my only complaint, along with the smell. I don't have very strong sense of smell, so that isn't as much for me, and it does disappear after a while. But if you are sensitive to smell, it does smell a little bit like paint. But again, great foundation, holds up well. I would say out of the ones I'm talking about, this is more of a light medium. I would still consider this a medium coverage foundation, just on the lighter scale of that, but it holds up great. It really just sinks into your skin and gives you a very skin-like natural finish. It's not too dewy, it's not too matte. This is the original. I believe they've come out with like other versions now, like they have a dewy version, just different avenues they took. They really decided to capitalize on this foundation when they realized how much people loved it, but it's very, very affordable. And you can't go wrong with this. If you're at the drugstore, pick this up. It's worth throwing. It's, I think, less than $5. I have no idea. I'm gonna put the prices up on the screen here because I need to look them up. But for the price, you just cannot go wrong with this foundation, and it'll hold up well through the entire day. Next up in the foundations I'd recommend for fall is this little cushion right here. This is the M Cosmetics Daydream Cushion. I have the shade Gentle Light, which is light medium. And of course it has like the little puff here, and you open it up and there's the cushion. It does come with a refill cushion, which is very nice, but this is really great. This little sponge here, you know, normally I won't use these, but the teardrop is just really great for getting into that inner corner. Can't really see that with my glasses, but you know, you can really get up in there, and it just gives you this perfect natural finish. A lot of these have similar characteristics, so it's really just going to depend on your budget or what you're looking for, but a lot of these are the same. This is natural, it's dewy without being overly dewy, but it wears well. The thing that I just don't like about overly dewy foundations upon initial application is that by the end of the day, my face just looks like oil slick. And like I said, my skin type is normal to dry, so when a foundation just at the end of the day, my face just is completely glistening, I don't really like that look, and I would rather a foundation wear away a lot more natural. This one does that. I tried this one. I mean, it's one of my newer foundations in my collection, and I really enjoy this. Any video I've done a review on, this might be the only one or two. I will link above if you want to go watch just wear times, see more detailed swatches. You can go view the dedicated video to that, but I like this a lot. I think I even tried this in the winter time and it held up great. I can't say enough good things about this. Not everyone loves a cushion foundation, so that's kind of just where, you know, if you're not a fan of cushions, I wouldn't pick this up. I'd go with a different one. But if you love cushions like I do, then this one is the best cushion foundation I've tried. And then the last foundation I would recommend is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. Looks like this. I have two of them because I originally picked up this shade. This is the shade Light Medium 9. And this is pretty dark, so it's about the darkest I'll ever get. And I wanted to wear this more in the fall time when I'm not so dark. So I picked up this shade, and this is the shade Light 5. I'm not sure yet actually if this is gonna match me or not. I went a little bit lighter because I figured I could always mix the two, but this foundation for usually the entire year, this is my event foundation. So this is the foundation that I would wear if I was going out to something special. I wore it to my friend's bachelorette party. So just something that is a little bit more special that I really want to make sure has really great coverage, is really going to last, and is going to just make my skin look beautiful without being cakey. This is the foundation that I lean on. It used to be this Chanel foundation. This was like my special event foundation. I wore this to my boyfriend's sister's wedding, but this I consider now more of just a well-rounded everyday, and this beat out like my event one just by a smidge. This is still my top favorite. I don't even think I'd rate this in top 5, but I love this foundation. It makes your skin look so great, and I know especially coming more on cooler months, it'll be a foundation I reach for more on an everyday basis rather than just for events. I think this makes your skin look just perfect. It really blurs out your pores, and you don't have to wear a lot to make it just look so effortless on your skin. I think that's what I love the most about this, is while it's my event foundation, I don't feel like I'm putting so much on. I feel very glamorous but understated when I wear this foundation. Now, of course, you can just take it down a notch, you know, not do such a heavy eye look, kind of tone down the rest of your products to make it more everyday friendly, depending on what kind of makeup you wear. Some people, you know, wear that colorful eye look every single day, and that's okay. But for me, every day, I kind of just want more understated. And this still will fit the bill for that. I can't recommend this enough. I know that this is a very pricey foundation, and if I have to go between the two, I definitely recommend this one more. But if you haven't tried this and you see Pat McGrath doing like their 30% off sale that they'll start doing pretty frequently here now that holidays are coming around, and you've been eyeing this, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think it'll work for a lot of skin types. Oily, dry, you might maybe need to use a facial oil if you want like more of that glowy look, but I still think it would work for dry skin. I think it would work for everyone and just make you look really great. And then that's gonna wrap up this video. I was originally going to do 10 foundations because I can get a little overzealous, but I decided to stick with 5. I was looking at the other ones and I was like, I'm just trying to pick 10 now. They're not really ones I would necessarily recommend. This is my solid 5, the 5 foundations that I think I'll be leaning a lot come, the rest of September, October, leaning into November. These are gonna be my bread and butter foundations, and all of them just fantastic. That's obviously why they made my top ranking, but that's gonna wrap up this video. If you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful for you, I would love it if you left me a comment down below. If you own any of these foundations, what foundation you like the most. If you have foundations that you tend to reach for more during the fall time, also let me know that in the comments below, because maybe there's one that I don't have that I need to pick up. I'm always looking for more foundation recommendations. And with that, I'm gonna let you all go, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.